Hello! It's your girl, Fly Girl Nina, and welcome to Fly Girl Bartending. Today we are talking about glassware because it is a super duper important element within bartending. Being familiar with glassware behind the bar is super crucial for many different reasons. One of them being you have to be able to communicate with your fellow bartenders, especially if you're in the middle of a rush and you run out of coupe glasses. For example, you could be able to ask them, hey, I need a coupe glass, and they know exactly what you're talking about. Alright, that's enough chit-chatting, let's get into the video. Alright, before we actually get into the glassware examples, there are a couple things I do want you to keep in mind as we are learning our glassware. Number one, not all cocktail glasses are made the same. Some manufacturers make a martini glass that holds 5 ounces, and there's other manufacturers that make 9-ounce martini glasses. For instance, let's say we make a Cosmopolitan, and you put it in a 5-ounce martini glass, and it fits perfectly. If you were to transfer the exact same cocktail to a 9-ounce martini glass, you may get some side eyes from people thinking that you are underserving them alcohol, when in fact, it's just the size of the glass that is the problem. So just make sure when you're behind a working bar, you definitely want to make sure that you are memorizing their house recipes for cocktails, because 9 times out of 10, the house recipe will fit the type of glass that you have at your establishment. Alright, another quick bit. Some glassware is actually designed with a purpose, other than just being a vessel to hold the cocktail. But that I'll get into when we go over the actual glassware, which we're going to start right now. We're going to start by going over some lowball glassware. Firstly, we have the shot glass. What is the shot glass used for? A shot glass will hold at least 1 ounce of liquor. On average, I would say most shot glasses hold 1.5 ounces, but there's also some other shot glasses out there that fit like 2 ounces, 3 ounces. There's all different types of shapes and sizes for them. When people order a shot, most of the time they're going to be getting just straight liquor in a shot glass. However, there are some specialty shots that will fit into a shot glass like a B52. Since we are talking about shot recipes, let's talk about our next glassware item, which you can also serve shots in. This is called the Gibralter. It's kind of like a mini rocks glass in a way. This glass specifically holds 4.5 ounces. You can serve a bunch of different things in a Gibralter. You can serve neat spirits in this. This glass is one of my personal favorites to put shooters in, which includes your Mexican candy shot, your green tea shot, your Scooby snack, etc, etc. But yeah, that is the Gibralter. Our next glassware item is called a Snifter. Some people can also call it a goblet. I personally think that goblets are a little bit different. Snifters are great for serving neat spirits, and especially great for serving brandy or cognac. But just know that the shape of the snifter is really great for tasting spirits, and it gives you an experience to incorporate all your senses. But I will get into tasting spirits in a future episode to explain a little bit more about it. But as far as goblets goes, there's small ones and there's larger ones. A goblet can be used for multiple different alcoholic beverages. At one of the past jobs that I worked at a restaurant, we used a goblet for sangria. We used it to serve beer or even cold brew on tap. But that's enough on the goblet, and I'll insert a picture. Our next glassware item is the standard rocks glass. This baby has a bunch of different names. You may hear other people call them a rocks glass, a single rocks glass, an old-fashioned glass. The names can go on and on. But I feel like most commonly when you call it a rocks glass, everyone kind of knows what you're talking about. Characteristics of a rocks glass are it's going to be shorter and have a wider circumference. This glass can be used for several different reasons. Rocks glasses are typically for cocktails that are very spirit forward. You know, one of the reasons why people call it an old-fashioned glass is because you can serve an old-fashioned in this. If you don't have a Gibralter glass, you can also serve shooters in a rocks glass instead. It's good for serving cocktails that are simple and straight to the point. Next, we have a double rocks glass. Some people may still refer to this as a regular rocks glass, and that's totally fine. Double rocks glasses are just a little bit bigger than single rocks glasses. They can kind of be used for the same things as single rocks glasses. It's really just up to you and how you want to serve cocktails. This itty bitty glass is called a cordial glass, and it is used to serve cordials. So if you have a customer that wants to like sip on some Grand Marnier or something, you can hand it to them in this. I will say this is not a popular glass that you're going to be seeing behind a working bar majority of the time. At least from my own experience, I've never been behind a bar where they have a cordial glass back there, or have even served anyone with this type of glass used. But anyway, just thought I'd mention it. Next, we're gonna go into our highball glassware. Next, we have the Collins glass. Characteristics-wise, the difference between this and a rocks glass is it's gonna be skinnier and taller. This one holds about 12 ounces, but you can also find Collins glasses that range between 12 and 16 ounces. This can also be considered a highball glass. Different people call things different things, which is totally fine. I personally use the terms Collins and highball interchangeably, but I think there is like a specific difference between the both, but I'm not an expert on that part. Back to the intro when I was talking about some glassware have specific functions. This is going to allow the bubbles in your carbonated cocktails to have ample space to move around. This is going to work great for cocktails like a mojito, a Tom Collins, or a gin fizz. Next, we have the pint glass. The pint glass can have multiple different functions. If you work in a restaurant bar, this could be used to hold water or soft drinks. It's also very common to see pint glasses hold beer. You can also use a pint glass to shake your cocktails. If you've already seen my top 10 essential bartending tools video, I already mentioned how to use this with a Boston shaker. Next, we have a beer stein. As well as serving beer in a pint glass, it is also very common to serve beer in a beer stein. A beer stein is very unique because it will have a handle attached to it, but definitely only serve beer or beer-based cocktails in a beer stein. Now we're gonna move into our stemmed glassware. Starting off with probably the most famous stemmed glassware, the Martini glass. Some people call a Martini glass a cocktail glass as well. This one holds about 7 ounces, but it's very common to see a 5-ounce Martini glass or a 9-ounce Martini glass. Any cocktail that you serve in a Martini glass should not have any ice in it. The only time you should ever have ice in your Martini glass is when you are chilling your Martini glass. There are bajillions of different classic cocktails that you will be seeing served in a Martini glass. A lot of people are not big fans of Martini glasses because one small little tip of your Martini glass and you could lose like half your cocktail. So that's not always fun, but it's cool to look at for sure. Next, we have a coupe glass. A coupe glass is going to have more of a U shape to it versus the V shape of a Martini glass. This is also a very popular glass to use when serving classic cocktails. Next, we have the Nick and Nora glass. The Nick and Nora glass can be best described as kind of like the baby between a Martini glass and a coupe glass, and this glass is also very popular to serve classic cocktails as well. Next, we have an Irish coffee mug. I would highly suggest that with hot cocktails like a hot toddy or an Irish coffee, you should probably have a handle attached to it as well. But this one's okay because it has a stem that you can hold on to. The customer can hold onto the stem instead of on the actual glass itself and not burn themselves as they're drinking their hot cocktails. Next, we have a Margarita glass. Now, traditionally, margaritas are served on the rocks. However, when you go to like a restaurant, you can often see them served into a glass similar to this. You can even find margarita glasses that are kind of shaped like a little cactus and they have like the little ends on it and stuff. But yeah, that's a margarita glass. Next, we're gonna go into our wine glasses. Believe it or not, depending on what kind of wine you're drinking, there is a specific type of wine glass that you should be using. Most of the time, wine glasses should have a stem on it, especially for white wine or sparkling wine. I know that there's many like department stores out there that serve stemless champagne flutes, but I highly wouldn't suggest that just because with white wine, it is actually necessary to have a stem on the glass. And this is so the customer can hold the stem instead of the actual glass so that their hands don't warm up the chilled white wine. With red wine, you can get away with not having a stemmed red wine glass, but there is a specific glass designed for red wine. And that one does have a stem on it. A red wine glass has a stem, it is shorter and wider. A white wine glass has a stem and is more narrow and taller. This is a champagne flute. Champagne flutes can serve champagne, but you can also serve any type of sparkling wine like a Prosecco or a Brut. A champagne flute is a little different than a white wine and a red wine glass, but it is the most narrow out of the three main types of wine glasses there are. The reasoning behind this is just like how I kind of mentioned with the highball glass. The tall and narrowness characteristics of the champagne flute allow the bubbles from your sparkling wine to be able to escape. There's also a wine glass called a Bourdeaux, which you can often see Aperol spritzes being served in. Next, we're going into kind of like the other category, starting with the Moscow Mule Mug. This is a Moscow Mule Mug. It is very traditional to use one of these mugs when serving a Moscow Mule. You don't only have to serve a Moscow Mule in this, you can also serve it into like a Collins glass or something. Now, with these, there will be customers that will try to steal them if they find a nice one at a restaurant. And for that reason, I know that some places don't carry these to serve Moscow Mules, but also if you don't work at a bar with these, people are going to ask about them. So just beware. And some people are weird too. They're like, you're serving me a Moscow Mule, not a Moscow Mule mug. And it's like, people are stealing them, ma'am. But that's not my problem, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Next, we're gonna talk about Tiki mugs. This is the Tiki mug I currently have. There are a bajillion different types of Tiki cocktails out there, and some of them have more ingredients than others, so there's different shapes and sizes for Tiki mugs. For instance, a Mai Tai will be served in kind of like a rocks glass Tiki mug, where it's short and wide. The tallness of this glass is more for like a painkiller or a Singapore sling. But Tiki mugs are really cool because some of them have different cool designs on it. Some are shaped like volcanoes, coconuts, parrots, you name it, honestly. Next, we have the hurricane glass. The hurricane glass is used to serve hurricanes, but it can also serve pina coladas, Miami Vices, mudslides. Like for me, I feel like most of the time when you have a blended drink, it'll be served in a hurricane glass, excluding margaritas though, because that's a different thing. But that's really short and simple. That's what the hurricane glass is. If you have a home bar, or if you work at a place that is very popular with brunch, you can also have glassware that is dedicated to holding your juices and syrups. And those can honestly come in any shape and size. These are the kinds that I have. There's really not much else to say about that other than you may want to have some of these. Some of them are called like cocktail decanters or something. Juice, syrup containers, you name it. These aren't really the popular ones to know, but just know that you're going to see them behind a bar or have them in your home bar. Mexican bar or restaurants also have these like the little oh my gosh, please don't be offended if I don't know the name of this, but they look like little like pots. I think it's called something with a C, but the name is escaping me right now, so I'm sorry. I'll insert a picture, but basically they look like little they look kind of like little plant pots. They're like terracotta color, but some like Mexican bars and restaurants, they serve cocktails like margaritas in them, and they're really cute. I want one of them actually. I think that's it for glassware, honestly. I think I covered all the bases for glassware. I can't think of any more. If you guys can actually remind me what the name of that Mexican glass is called, that would be very helpful. Please write it in the comments. But anyway, that's kind of it that I have to share with you guys today. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you are just starting bartending, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay fly.